Do you know what? Going to Villa Park, a match day at Villa Park is so spectacular. It's so magic. And when Adam and Danny run the Villa View asked me to create a match day experience video, I never thought I'd be reacting to the game, which laid out in the way that it did. Aston Villa 3, Everton nil. And I want to share with you my match day experience, my footage, and give you my thoughts on all things Aston Villa in terms of the game we've just played against Everton. So, welcome to the first official match day experience. This is Aston Villa 3, Everton nil. My thoughts on Everton going into today's game, I respect them massively. I respect the fact that Rafa Benitez didn't necessarily spend lots of money compared to other clubs in terms of acquiring players, and brought in Damari Gray and Andros Townsend, who aren't shining stars at that point, in the fact that not a lot of clubs were surrounding them in terms of trying to buy them. But in Damari Gray and Andros Townsend, what you do have is that artfulness which is waiting to be released in the right system. And Rafa's really done that. Andros and Damari have really contributed to Everton's forward line, and alongside them, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was out today, thankfully, alongside Jordan Pickford, their forward line is very menacing, and they've shown that with an unbeaten record coming into today's game at Villa Park. And with Aston Villa occupying a new system against Chelsea, which saw the team play really well, but fall short in terms of Lukaku's excellence and world-class nature in terms of in front of goal. There were some signs there, I promise. And I think with a few games with that system and formation under our belts, we can really push forward and be a menacing and promising side. And if we just find that clinical edge up front and be constantly tenacious and tough tackling in the midfield and remain resolute at the back, and Martinez continues in the way that he always does, being so professional himself, and I think Aston Villa were a really good outfit, and especially for this game. Surely neutral fans going into this game would have been really excited, really passionate about both sides' style of play, and really looking forward to seeing how both sides progress in this game and seeing who comes out on top, really. The thing was, for the first 45 minutes for Aston Villa and Everton, both teams, as I mentioned previously, lacked that clinical edge. Everton were missing Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Villa were occupying again a new system with Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins up front, two players who haven't regularly played with each other in game situations. I'm sure they practice that in training, but the thing was, it all gets, you have to get used to these systems. It gets a lot to get used to, and with two grafters in Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings, like I said, and a word I've mentioned a lot so far, there's a lot of promise there. And I'm sure that that will really suit Dean Smith's style in terms of pressurising the ball and this high maintenance in terms of wanting to constantly pressurise opposition to get the ball back, win possession, and go forward and score. And we didn't necessarily see a lot of scoring in the first half. There were a lot of shots, a lot of misplaced shots, a lot of shots saved. Asmir Begovic, for me, was probably the busier keeper out of him and Emiliano Martinez. But for both sides, they just lacked that clinical edge. And it was fantastic to see the Villa faithful and Everton faithful go at it against each other in terms of supporting their sides. But both teams really couldn't see themselves get into the lead. The deadlock wasn't broken. And going into half time, there was a lot to discuss from both managers. Of course, with John McGinn coming off injured, that wasn't a promising sight. He's such an engine in that midfield. He's the man to bring the ball down and bring the ball forward in terms of the offensive line and help the strikers and wingers to create some form of chances and try and score against today's keeper, Asmir Begovic. And to see Nakamba come on, who's more defensively minded, that didn't necessarily help Villa in terms of trying to seek that first goal. But most importantly, the thing is, we hope to see John McGinn come back well and fit and able to play against Man U and Spurs, because he's such a crucial part of our midfield. I didn't necessarily see a lot of Jacob Ramsey, and that's from my perspective, and I'm sure other people will read the game in a different way. But Jacob Ramsey didn't necessarily cause a lot. Douglas Luiz probably was, I mean, his role, Douglas Luiz, is as that number six, is to pick the ball up and spray passes and be that tenacious former player. But with Nakama coming on after McGinn's injury, Douglas didn't necessarily need to do that. So he didn't necessarily cause a lot of problems for Everton, but he was okay, really. And going forward, Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings weren't perfect. That partnership, like I said, is still developing, but we saw them try to spray some shots at Asmir Begovic, try to test it. There's a lot of chances Villa's way. And like I said, going into half time, there needed to be some form of tactical tweak if Villa were to go out and try and secure that first goal and get all 3 points. Going into the second half, the one thing we needed, and the one thing I really told my dad at the time was we needed someone to be so clinical in front of goal to try and get that first goal. And the man who did it in the end was Matty Cash. And it's such a fantastic run as well. And the atmosphere created by that in terms of inside Villa Park was something I'll never really experience again in a long time, in terms of the fact that the Villa faithful reacted to that in such a positive manner. And it's nice to see Matt Cash run all the way back down towards the North Stand. I think potentially knee sliding in front of one of his family members in hospitality somewhere. So that was nice to see. And it's a great run as well. He's a fantastic player, Matty Cash. And he's so young as well. He's a lot of promise. Like I say, that word I keep reiterating, promise. He's got a lot of promise and a long, long career ahead of him. And there's been a lot of rumours as well with him potentially joining Poland, the national team. So to see him getting national minutes, see him play internationally as well as domestically with Aston Villa and in England, he's such a fantastic footballer. To see him get that goal, his first goal, was a proud moment for him, a proud moment for his family, for me, and the whole Villa faithful, just to see him get that moment for himself. But yeah, great moment, great goal as well, really good goal. Being in the stadium and not necessarily being in a North Stand and the corner was by the whole 10, I didn't necessarily see all the players approaching the ball to a specific manner, to a specific degree. I didn't see who tried to get the ball, try and get it in the net. But from looking on the internet after the game, it was an own goal. The second goal went down as an own goal. But realistically, it was a fantastic ball in from Leon Bailey, a man we bought from Bayer Leverkusen, had a few injury problems, but when he came on against Watford, he was a menace. Not necessarily against Chelsea, but today he was specifically. This was his first contribution, Leon Bailey, to the game with that fantastic ball in, and it went down as an own goal, I believe, from Luca Digne. The thing is, our free kicks, our set pieces are getting a lot better, a lot more accurate, and causing a lot more threats in the box. And I just want to see more of that. And with a new coach coming in, a new set piece coach, he's offering a lot more to the players in terms of think of different strategies to use in different ounces of play. So that's really exciting for Villa fans and makes it a lot more unpredictable for the opposition in terms of trying to figure out what Aston Villa do, resulting also in more goals being created. The moment you all want me to talk about the footage in terms of the fans' reaction to it, the one moment I think us as Villa fans really cheered the loudest to was Leon Bailey's goal. That fantastic strike against Asmir Begovic. The ball was played to him, he headed it down, he controlled it really well, and the strike was fantastic. A player who oozed such class in such little time, which I didn't necessarily expect. 20 minutes he was on the pitch, came off with a little injury, I suppose, I hope it's not too serious. But the thing was, for the 20 minutes, he contributed a lot to the game. His skill, his passing, his shooting, his willingness to get involved defensively as well. That's a fantastic thing to see in his game. But the third goal was fantastic. And I'll input some of the Villa fans' reaction to it and some of the Villa fans' celebrations at the end as well, because it creates the whole atmosphere that Villa fans want to have. My man of the match had to be Leon Bailey, the Jamaican Prince, Craig Butler's heir to the throne in terms of Jamaican football. He is so good. He is such a good player. And I was talking, like I said, to my dad at half time because I saw him against Watford and I said, bring him on. He offers so much to the game. And when John McGinn came off, that engine in the midfield had gone. I'd see someone like Leon Bailey come on and have someone like Emi Buendia and El Ghazi and Shaw on the bench. Those players willing to do stuff and be skillful and bring the ball up in ways that others aren't. And they're just having that courage and bravery to try and test the opponents in such fantastic ways and such skillful ways that Leon Bailey did in terms of his second assist, in terms of the second goal, and the third goal being his. He offers so much to Aston Villa. And even though it was 20 minutes, I can't wait to see him play a whole game. Never mind 20 minutes. He was such a fantastic presence and he had to be my man of the match. So as I left Villa Park, the atmosphere, my emotions, I couldn't keep them in check. I came back here a mess in terms of my emotions and being so passionate and proud of the boys in claret and blue, and I hope you guys were too. If you enjoy this footage, if you enjoy my reactions, then please give this a like and subscribe to the Villa View. But most importantly, stay safe, stay well, and up the Villa.